Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what is a very weird tier list Tuesday. We have not used BracketFight since I was showing you the results of my in-person greatest movie of all time tournament. And today's tier list Tuesday, tier maker rather, is down, probably for some kind of repair or something. And this is the only time I was able to record it, so I thought we'd come on over to BracketFight and see what was happening. And this greatest wrestlers of all time one caught my eye. And I figured, when we're doing the greatest of all time, maybe that's when we use BracketFight. So I'm going to go into this one blind. I was going to do best WWE champion of the last decade, but it was poorly put together and half of it was blank. I basically clicked this, scrolled down, saw that it was a good looking tier list and that there were no weird mistakes in the actual physical tier list, and that was enough for me. I don't even know which wrestlers are in this for the most part. I only saw a handful, so let's just click it and dive right in. All right, The Big Show versus The Rock. This shouldn't be hard, and this should not be no one should be shocked by this one. The Rock is better than The Big Show. All right, Triple H and Booker T. We got a five-time WCW champion. But, I mean, it's the game. It's Triple H, man. He's got to go over Booker T. I can almost entertain the concept of Shane McMahon as a character deserving to be on this list, but he is certainly not a better wrestler than Mick Foley. Come on, Long Island legend here, one of the greatest of all time. Had an amazing first WWE Championship win. Can't go wrong with picking Mick Foley on this one. And it. RVD and Terry Funk. This is tough. These are two ECW legends here. So I mean, you're definitely picking an extreme wrestler one way or the other. I'm gonna have to go with RVD on this one. He's got the best frog splash in the business. You love to see him. He's made waves in other companies. Terry Funk is a legend, but I think RVD is just the way to go here. Damn, they paired these ones up wild, dude. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Goldberg. This could have been the finals for some people. This is some people's finals, and this is a round one matchup of I think 64 wrestlers. But I mean, you gotta go with Stone Cold Steve Austin. First of all, Goldberg is making me every time I see Goldberg in wrestling today, it makes me like him a little less. So I gotta give this one to Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh man, they're putting the Wolfpack against each other. Razor Ramon, aka Scott Hall, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, aka Kevin Nash. These are two of the greatest to ever do it. I'm big fans of them both. This is one of my favorite tag teams ever. They both have incredible singles careers, but Kevin Nash has accomplished more. I think Razor Ramon might be the better wrestler, and we're trying to consider everything here: wrestling prowess and accomplishments and character. So even though he's got less world titles under his belt, I think I gotta give this one to Razor Ramon. Kane and The Undertaker. Okay. The two greatest gimmick wrestlers, for lack of a better word. I mean, they're both demons, undead, spooky guys. They're the Brothers of Destruction, but I mean, listen, Kane could be a top 12 if this was shuffled randomly, but clearly this person paired up certain people. Undertaker he's the Undertaker. I mean, what else do you want for me? All right, Sting versus Diamond Dallas Page, two WCW legends. One of them wrestles today in AEW, and the other one has their own yoga program. I gotta give it to Sting, dude. Multi-generational, one of the few guys who I think I heard a statistic that in 4 different decades can technically say he's their favorite, which is just nuts. So I'm gonna move Sting on that one. Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik. I mean, personal issues with people aside, as far as wrestling goes, Hulk Hogan's one of the greatest to ever do it, and the Iron Sheik is just a glorified foreign heel gimmick. So I gotta give this one to the Hulkster. Andre the Giant versus Vader. Two big men who are awesome, but Andre the Giant is the big man. He is the biggest, bestest big man WWE has ever seen. And he was in the Princess Bride. Vader was not in the Princess Bride, so this one's gonna have to go to Andre the Giant. Macho Man Randy Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Again, this is a really insane, like, these matchups are rough, dude. Like, I think this guy should have, like, pulled him out of the hat. He is clearly doing pairings that are just too hard to go through. Both incredible golden era wrestlers, but I think I gotta go to the Macho Man on this one. Woo! Two of the greatest heels from that same era. Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper versus the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. This might be the toughest matchup we've encountered thus far. I think these two are like so specifically in the same spot, but personally for me, I think Roddy Piper just ever so slightly beats out Ted DiBiase. Ric Flair versus Arn Anderson. 2/4 of the Four Horsemen. Great wrestlers, but I mean, Arn Anderson's awesome and all, but Ric Flair is the number one pick for some people on this list, so you can't be going down round one. We're gonna move Ric Flair up. Jake the Snake Roberts versus Ron Simmons. Ooh, this is an interesting matchup. A lot of them have been very, like, I get why you put these two together. These two guys are pretty different. Jake the Snake, great heel. Snake gimmick's awesome. I'll ever forget when Damien bit, I believe it was the Macho Man. You got Ron Simmons with that emotional title win that he didn't even know was happening till the day of. A lot of good stuff here, but I think you gotta give this one to Jake the Snake. Shawn Michaels and Dusty Rhodes. I don't know why you'd ever choose this picture for Dusty Rhodes. A little gross. There's lots of fun pictures of Dusty Rhodes. But, I mean, Shawn Michaels, again, one of the greatest to ever lace it up. Not that Dusty Rhodes isn't, but, like, there's probably, like, 10 wrestlers out of the 64 that are, like, the ones that are really going to be fighting for those top spots. And Shawn Michaels one of them. So you got to move Shawn Michaels forward. And then lastly, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog. This literal matchup for the Intercontinental Championship is one of the best matches of all time. But again, Bret Hart might be in one of those 10. Not that the British Bulldog isn't great, but he's not. So Bret Hart moves on. And yes, if I thought I remembered correctly. Bracket Fight likes doing one whole side and the other whole side. So we're going to be going back through those wrestlers we just did and doing them again. And then it looks like the more modern superstars on the other side. I see Sheamus over there. So The Rock versus Triple H. This is a hard matchup. They're both incredible. Me personally, like, I know Dynamite probably might go Triple H here. Triple H is one of his favorites, but I think you gotta give it to The Rock, right? Like, both of these guys might be in that mythical 10 I keep mentioning, but I mean, The Rock might be in, like, the 5, you know? So I gotta have to go with The Rock on this one. I know it's an early elimination for Triple H, but that's based on how this guy made his bracket. Ooh, Mick Foley versus RVD. Another great matchup. Two extreme dudes, but I think Mick Foley has just done more for the business than RVD has. So I'm gonna have to move up Mick Foley on this one. Stone Cold, Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon is one of my personal favorites, but he is not going to be the guy who knocks Stone Cold Steve Austin out of this competition. I hate to break it to you. Gonna have to move on Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Undertaker versus Sting, the match we never got, the one everyone always wanted. WCW's top black trench coat spooky figure who shows up when the lights turn off versus WWE's. Listen, the streak is one of the most awesome things that's ever happened in WWE. This is the best gimmick of all time. Sting's awesome. Love his work. Gotta go with The Undertaker on this one. The Hulkster versus Andre the Giant. I mean, this is the match. Like, the big scoop slam heard around the world. Hulk Hogan dropping the leg on Andre. A lot going on here. And again, I'm leaving all weird stuff about people aside. This is strictly based on what they did in wrestling. Anything that's been done outside of wrestling, getting tossed to the side here. So as far as like big figures in WWE, WCW, I can't not go with Hulk Hogan here. He's not. Listen, he might not win the whole thing, but he's definitely in the conversation for the greatest of all time, and he might even be the greatest of all time. He's got to move on here. Macho Man Randy Savage and Rowdy Roddy Piper. This one's tough as well, because Macho Man was like the other guy, you know? It's like there's Hulk Hogan and there's Macho Man. And there's the Ultimate Warrior, who we haven't seen. He might be on the other side, but that's weird. Macho Man never quite hit the highs that Hulk Hogan did, but he was really close, and Rowdy Piper certainly didn't, but he had his shtick he had locked in. This one's close, but I think I am going to give it to the Macho Man. Ric Flair versus Jake Roberts. I don't want to be so dismissive about this one, but I'm confident this is a Ric Flair move on. Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart, the Montreal Screwjob. These are two of the best to ever do it. If you had a Mount Rushmore of technical wrestlers, these two are probably both on it. Either one of these guys could have won this whole competition, but one of them has to get eliminated now. I think that person is going to be Bret Hart, because I'm moving Shawn Michaels on. Back to the top, the Rock and Sock connection. The Rock versus Mick Foley. Mama Foley's baby boy. He's from Long Island like myself. Love this guy, love everything he's ever done. But it's time to smell what the Rock is cooking here. I mean, when you step up to the Rock, you gotta be swinging for the fences. And it's not that Mick Foley can't. It's just, I mean, he's the Rock. He's the Rock. Star of Jungle Cruise, Doom, the Scorpion King. I could have picked other movies, but those are the three I'm going with. I'm gonna move the Rock forward. Stone Cold versus The Undertaker. Now, this is a matchup. Not that every other time I've said that it hasn't been, but like these are, like we've gotten to the point on this left side where everyone that we're talking about wins somebody's version of this. Like they're literal, like they're winning. This is going to be controversial, I think, because I think a lot of people say Stone Cold's the greatest to ever do it, and he definitely was. Killer promo. He conquered the Attitude Era, but Undertaker was here first. And he was here afterwards. I know a neck injury ended this Stone Cold's career, and I'm not trying to blame him for that, but like Undertaker had just as good, if not have a better career, and it lasted longer. Between the streak, that Hell in the Cell match, everything Undertaker's done, I'm gonna move the Undertaker forward over Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, the superpowers. I alluded to it a little earlier. These two are very similar, but I don't know. We don't know if I don't think Macho Man really hit the highs that Hulk Hogan did. I might enjoy the character and the Zane a little more of the Macho Man, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I think as a wrestler, a WWE superstar, you gotta move forward. Hulk Hogan. Oh man, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. This is just as hard as Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Those are, I mean, like all three of them are on that like technical Mount Rushmore. Ric Flair has more championships than anyone else in the history of WWE other than John Cena. This is a tough one, but again, I think I gotta go with Shawn Michaels. It's tough, but I think that's what we're doing. I believe we were on the final four on this side. Undertaker versus The Rock. Hot damn. I just realized they used a picture of The Rock using the smoking skull belt. Undertaker and The Rock. The Undertaker beat Stone Cold to be in this spot. Beat The Rock. The Rock and Stone Cold are definitely two of the biggest personalities you've ever seen in WWE. It's hard to argue which one's better than the other. A lot of people land on both sides of that argument. The Rock went Hollywood while Stone Cold kind of didn't. Is that a negative or a plus? Who knows? Then you got The Undertaker, right? He's The Undertaker. You know, when I started spieling on these two, I thought I was gonna go with The Rock, but I think I'm going with The Undertaker. That was a tough call, but I had to do it. This one's a little less tough of a call. This is, again, Hulk Hogan, as far as his WWE career goes, is one of the best who have ever done it. But this is the time that I'm comfortable saying that Hulk Hogan, he's not as great as Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels does way more between the ropes, and it was just as big of a character with just as many great, huge moments from multiple eras. You gotta move forward, Shawn Michaels, which I believe means that, yep, the semifinals matchup is the classic Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Oh man, how do you make this decision? I mean, I'm wearing an Undertaker t-shirt right now. It's from his retirement. It's the Undertaker and Snoop Dogg. It was Undertaker versus Snoop Dogg, and I have no idea what to do. It's tough, man. I mean, they have very different styles of wrestling, but they're both incredible between the ring. Some of the best workers there's ever been. They both span just about as long as one another. Very long. I'm talking, we're stretching all the way back from like the golden era to old guys who get called to do super showdowns. Like they span a lot, these two. I think as far as a character goes, Undertaker's a little better. As far as a wrestler goes, Shawn Michaels is a little better. God, you know, it's like some of these questions are literally like, if you ask me a different day of the week, I'd pick someone else. Like if I like sneezed differently this morning, this might be like Ric Flair versus The Rock, you know? But I think right now, I'm just like looking back on the careers. I think I gotta give it to The Undertaker. Undertaker advances to the finals of the left side. And now we are moving to the right side, which appears to be more modern people. But I mean, I see Scott Steiner over there, and like the Big Show's on the left. So I mean, I get why the Big Show was definitely part of that era. But here we are. John Cena versus Sheamus. Listen, I met Sheamus. He was a great guy. We ate some food together. He was super cool. Took pictures, signed some stuff. Became a big Sheamus fan that day. He's up against John Cena right here. I don't know what to tell him. It's John Cena. CM Punk, Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner's got some great things going for him. He's got the hilarious numbers promo. He's got the tag team. He's got the NWO. CM Punk had one of the greatest like 2-year periods of any person, and then subsequently was destroyed by the company, but just recently made an incredible debut back on TV. I think I'm gonna move CM Punk forward. Randy Orton versus Batista. These are two of my personal favorites. I love these guys. I saw Batista's last match in person, that one against Triple H. Randy Orton's been one of my favorites of all time. I think he's got the best finishing move in WWE history. And if you're comparing careers and what they do in the ring, I think you got to move Randy Orton forward here. Batista, thank you so much for being Drax. I love that the way you're doing Hollywood. But as far as wrestling goes, this is a Randy Orton for me. Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho. Oh my God. I should have looked ahead of time to start thinking of stuff. Kurt Angle might literally be the greatest physical wrestler to ever get in the ring. Chris Jericho, great in the ring, great on the mic. The man has somehow been insane in every company he's ever stepped foot into, and he's still finding ways to be in the best current wrestler discussion well into his 50s. Love Kurt Angle. It's crazy to see him leave in round one, but I'm moving up Chris Jericho. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, the Hardy Bros, they're both still doing it today. They were both doing it back then. I think everyone would agree that as great as Matt Hardy is, Jeff Hardy was always the one that stole the show and was the one that people got behind. I'm gonna give this one to Jeff. Edge and Christian, again, it's the same exact boat as it's a more extreme version of what we were just talking about. Great tag team. When they do their own thing, though, everyone looked at Edge. Sorry, Christian, you're literally the current Impact champion. Your comeback has been amazing. So is Edge's, though. Edge is awesome. Edge might make it all the way to the finals of the side. It's very likely. He's one of the best to ever do it. Edge is moving on. Rey Mysterio and Mark Henry in the suit. Love it. Best little man to ever do it. One of the best big men to ever do it. Royal Rumble win, WrestleMania win, a lot of good stuff for Rey Mysterio. Mark Henry's awesome, but he really only had the one great run, and it was great, but I gotta give this one to Rey Mysterio here. Eddie Guerrero and JBL. Okay, I see the era we're working with here. Two great champions, but I mean, I think everyone doesn't agree with me on this one. That JBL was a great character, but wasn't the best between the ropes. Eddie Guerrero could do it all. You gotta move on Eddie Guerrero on this one. AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler. I'm just happy to see Dolph Ziggler be included. I mean, I guess if you're naming the 64 greatest wrestlers in WWE, WCW ever, you probably do hit Dolph Ziggler. But, I mean, AJ Styles is phenomenal. I didn't mean for it to be a joke, but it's just true. He might be the greatest wrestler doing it right now. Gotta move him forward. Shinsuke and Brock. Now, this is a, like Shinsuke is the better technical wrestler here for sure. But, alas, I am an American boy. I watch WWE, which means he doesn't get to really cut promos. It's all what he does in the ring. And what he does in the ring is great, and I love that he's aligned with the Boogs right now. But Brock is something else, man. When this guy shows up, ratings go up. He doesn't have the most landmark matches, but when you see Brock Lesnar, when he conquers, you're like, oh my God, Brock did it. He won. Oh no. And then when he loses, you're like, yes, someone beat Brock. Yeah. So I gotta give it to Brock. Kevin Owens and Cesaro, again, happy to see them be involved. Oh man, this is a tough one. Kevin Owens obviously has more accolades, right? Former NXT champion, former Universal champion, former Intercontinental champion, former United States champion, former... I don't know if he's ever been a tag team champion. He might not be a Grand Slam champion yet. Cesaro, former United States champion for sure. Former tag team champion for sure with the Bar. No NXT championship. I don't think he's ever been the Intercontinental champion, but I could totally be wrong about that. And he's definitely never been a world champion. But I think it's clear that Cesaro is the better wrestler of the two. It's a tough one. I really want to move forward Cesaro, but I think I gotta go with Kevin Owens on this one. Finn Balor and The Miz. Again, it's like in-ring skill versus on-mic skill. They're both in crucial parts of wrestling. We have two incredible careers here. Both of these guys Grand Slam champions, I believe. The Miz the only person to ever win the Grand Slam championship and then like do it again. It's a very specific feat. It's not like, oh, he's won more than one of everything. I think a few people have done that, but nobody has like completed. I punched the mic, sorry. No one's ever completed the Grand Slam, put it on the shelf, and then won every single one of those belts again like they had never done it. But Finn Balor's wrestling prowess is incredible. Great in incredible in NXT. Not incredible on the main roster, sadly, but I think what he does in NXT is more impressive than what The Miz does. So I love The Miz. I'd love to include him here, but I think I gotta move Finn Balor forward. Roman Reigns and I guess I'm going to call him Dean Ambrose, right? Because this is a WWE WCW list. So this is an easy Roman Reigns if that's how we're doing this, right? Like, if we're pretending this isn't Jon Moxley. The only issue is he is Jon Moxley. The greatest thing in AEW for a long time. Roman Reigns, however, is the greatest thing in WWE right now. And he also has been the face of the company for a while, to the dismay of some people, to the cheers of others. Even if we're counting the Jon Moxley stuff, I do think a Roman Reigns edges out Jon Moxley / Dean Ambrose by ever so slightly. Gotta move forward Roman Reigns here. Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, the current NXT champion versus the Drip God. Watch this man beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 35 in person. It was excellent. One of the best in-ring performers to ever do it. He's an incredible heel. He's an okay babyface. Married to Becky Lynch. Samoa Joe, you took some time off. You were a great commentator. If we were counting commentary, you might move forward. You're great in the ring too, but I think I'm going to go with Seth Rollins on this one. Big E and Xavier Woods, just putting the New Day up against each other here. They're both incredible. The entire New Day is absolutely great, but got to give it to Big E. Big E's current Money in the Bank. He's got a little bit more fun on the mic. I love Big E. And you got Kofi versus Daniel Bryan. Literally a match I saw at WrestleMania 35. Probably the match of the night. It was incredible. Crowd erupted when Kofi Kingston won. But again, it's Daniel. Like that's Daniel Bryan right there, man. He's literally WrestleMania 30 is one of the biggest moments in the history of freaking wrestling. It's incredible. I love Kofi. I can see Kofi even going another round ahead based on like other people that moved on. But you gotta give this one to Daniel Bryan. Back at the top, Cena and Punk. Now, this is, you know, some wrestling fans are like, CM Punk's the greatest to ever do it. Why do they think that? Because he left and it was crazy. And they're always like, we're never going to see someone like CM Punk again. CM Punk told it like it was, and that was cool. And it still is super cool. I literally bought a CM Punk shirt because of how cool he is. But John Cena is John Cena. Some people don't like him. He just came back to exclusively cheers. There was no, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. It was all cheering for Cena all the time. I'm glad to see he's finally reached that level. And he's earned it because his career is insane. He's on the same level as like The Rock and Stone Cold. When they show up, people just go, oh my God, it's that person. CM Punk should not be going out this early, but based on how this tournament was formed, he is. John Cena moves on. Randy Orton, Chris Jericho. Absolutely difficult decision. I love Randy Orton so much. The RKO is such a good move. I love his promo skills. I love his heel work. I love his little itty bitty bits of face work that he does. Like he's RK Bro right now. He's just like such a cocky, arrogant guy that I love. His whole career has been great. But so is Chris Jericho's. And you know what? Chris Jericho having about 10 years on Randy Orton is probably just enough to push him over the edge. I love Randy Orton for like a personal subjective list. He might be the winner of the whole thing, but I think here I'm going with Chris Jericho. Jeff Hardy and Edge, great rivalry. Loved that SummerSlam match where he pulled him through the ladder to win the belt. Love Jeff Hardy, he was my favorite growing up. But as far as the whole career goes, you gotta give this nudge to Edge. Edge is one of the greatest. His comeback was insane. He's still killing it today. Gotta give it to Edge. Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. I mean, talk about a matchup. They're like the good buddies. Some say Rey Mysterio's push only existed because of Eddie Guerrero's death, which it's like kind of true, kind of not. Obviously, Rey Mysterio had the skill to do it himself. But would Rey Mysterio be where he is today at Eddie Guerrero? I don't know. But we can't pretend Rey Mysterio isn't where he is today and became the legend he came, regardless of what happened with Eddie Guerrero. I think if Eddie Guerrero's life, sadly, hadn't been cut short, I'd probably be going with him. But I think I gotta go with Rey Mysterio on this one. AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. Talk about two totally freaking different competitors, man. Incredible in-ring stuff on the speed and flippy doodah side of the spectrum versus incredible in-ring stuff on the, oh my God, he's gonna kill me. If I had to get into a street and a fight in an alley with one of these guys, I'm picking AJ Styles every time. This guy looks like he's gonna kill you, and he is the biggest draw currently in wrestling that isn't like originally from another sport. Obviously, we know he went to the UFC and then he came back, and that's where the draw comes from, but he did start in WWE. But AJ Styles is the biggest indie guy of all time. He was the face of Impact forever. He came over to the WWE, got hot shot to the main roster, and has been killing it ever since. I'm a Brock Lesnar fan. A lot of people aren't, but I mean, I think this is an AJ Styles move on for sure. Kevin Owens and Finn Balor. 2 Universal Champions. 2 Intercontinental Champions. Only Kevin Owens was a United States Champion. Neither of them have been Tag Team Champions. I don't think... Kevin Owens totally might have been a Tag Team Champion with either Sami Zayn or maybe even Chris Jericho. I'm not sure. Kevin Owens had a way better main roster run than Finn Balor has. And Finn Balor had it might not have been a way better NXT run, but it was a great NXT run. And I think the in-ring skill of Finn Balor eclipses Kevin Owens. So it's going to come down to like that main roster push. And even though Kevin Owens had a way better time on the main roster, I think overall Finn Balor is just the better performer. So I'm going to give it to Finn Balor. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Listen, I love the Shield. I love every member of the Shield. But I've stated before that I think out of the 3 guys in the Shield, that Seth Rollins is the not the weakest link, but the one that I think is the least insanely good at what they do, right? Like Roman Reigns is like the best thing in WWE right now, kind of bar none. And Jon Moxley was the best thing in AEW, bar none, for a long time. Seth Rollins has been cool in WWE, but he's never been like the we're gonna put our entire stock on you kind of guy. He's incredible. He's awesome. He does more flippy dippy doodahs than Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley do. They have 3 totally different styles of wrestling. It's power, brawling, and flippy guys. It's the perfect team. If this were a freaking factions list, they might literally be my favorite faction of all time. But I gotta give the edge to Roman Reigns on this one. Big E, Daniel Bryan. I mean, hate to break it to you, Big E, but if Kofi couldn't do it, you currently can't. Your Intercontinental title run was great. The New Day is awesome. But Kofi Kingston literally had one of the most emotional WWE title wins and runs of anyone ever. And it still isn't enough to put him over Daniel Bryan. So I think Big E is on the cusp of that happening as his current Mr. Money in the Bank. But he's, he needs to get that to happen before we can talk about it. We're going forward with Daniel Bryan. Cena, Jericho. This is a doozy. Again, another matchup that could easily be the final, and either one of these guys could win. Chris Jericho is still killing it, right? Like literally this past Sunday for you guys, but I haven't seen it yet, was All Out, and he had his career on the line match against MJF. It's possible that at the time of recording this, we have seen the last of Chris Jericho in the ring. He's done it everywhere. New Japan, AEW, WCW, WWE, probably everywhere. John Cena has done WWE perfectly, always. He's probably the biggest star in WWE history. It's hard. I think this is like however I woke up on the side of the bed this morning could change my pick here. But I think I have to go with John Cena. Yeah, Cena. It's over. Edge and Rey Mysterio. This one's an edge. There are a handful of like the way the algorithm worked out. Like there's still some kind of easy picks here. Rey Mysterio is great, but Edge is like, I mean, he's insane. But he's one of the greatest to ever do it. I think if he didn't have that neck injury and didn't lose 7 years of his career, he might be the greatest of all time. And depends on how long this run he's doing right now lasts, he could still kind of get that spot. It's got to be Edge here. AJ Styles, Finn Balor. This is finally where Finn Balor's main roster booking is going to come back to bite him. The booking of a wrestler shouldn't hinder them that much, but it can't not, because good booking is what gives the audience the ability to see all the incredible stuff they can do. And AJ Styles has been basically booked like perfectly since he showed up. Great heel, great face, does it all great. Many WrestleMania matches. Finn Balor's had some too, but not enough to, I think, eclipse AJ Styles, man. You gotta go with AJ Styles here. Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan. How do you do this one? How do you do this one? The greatest thing in WWE right now. The man who actually sent Daniel Bryan packing, according to current rumors that he's going to AEW. Roman Reigns has done so many good things, man. The Shield, I liked his, like, I understand it was a little down our throats, but like, I loved his run and all of his runs he's done, and the one we're currently in is mwah, chef's kiss. Daniel Bryan, similar situation, man. Everything he did was great. I've been following Daniel Bryan since the first season of NXT, like the game show one. He was in and out a lot though with his injuries, but oh man, dude, again, this is this one to me is as hard as Cena Jericho, but I think I'm gonna, and it is similar to Cena Jericho in a lot of different ways. Like, do you go with the guy who can do it all and has done it all everywhere, but is around a little less, or the guy who's been doing the same thing absolutely perfectly since day one? And there's something about it being on like a 10 out of 10 scale versus a 9 out of 10 scale, that when you're doing something perfectly and you can't be doing it any better, like Cena, I put someone like Cena forward. But when these two guys do it, all of a sudden I think I'm going to put Daniel Bryan forward. I think this is a one where the jack of all trades kind of helps Daniel Bryan out. Cena Edge. Probably borderline being just as difficult as Chris Jericho Cena. But I think if it were Chris Jericho Edge, I'd be sitting here racking my brain for the longest time and take 30 minutes to come to the conclusion that Chris Jericho might be a little higher than Edge. And because I already said Cena was higher than Chris Jericho, as great as Edge was, and this may literally have been the greatest rivalry for both of them, I think I gotta go with Cena again. And Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, like, how do you call this one, man? Gabagool. Two guys, I mean, these guys are very similar. It's like they're the guys who could do it all in the ring and also on the mic, and everyone loved them at some point. The only thing that I think edges it out is that, like, Daniel Bryan had like that big moment, man, like that moment that will live in history forever. I gotta put Daniel Bryan forward, I think. And we get Cena Daniel Bryan, which is, again, John Cena, his last matchups have been like guys who are incredible and could win this whole tournament, but sadly they're up against John Cena. Yeah, his in-ring ability is a little less good. I'd even go say a lot less good. You know, he's a classic WWE old like in-ring performer, but the way that this guy has a hold on the company and the crowd and everything he does is absolutely insane. And we'll probably he's a once in a generation talent, right? Like, we had Hulk Hogan. The Rock and Stone Cold were a very unique situation where like two of them were able to help each other so much that they're also in there. And then there was John Cena. And a lot of people think Roman Reigns is the next John Cena. I don't think he is. I think he's like really good. But I think we're still a few years removed from someone becoming this level of a WWE superstar. I gotta move forward John Cena to the finals against The Undertaker. Which, you know, then brings us to the finals. The Undertaker versus John Cena. Who is the greatest WWE superstar of all time? I don't know. I love them both. They're both incredible. They both have a billion titles under their belt. Although, ironically, I don't think either one of them are a Grand Slam champion. Don't think The Undertaker has ever been... I don't think The Undertaker's ever been the United States champion. And I don't think that John Cena's ever been the Intercontinental champion. So no Grand Slam. They've both main evented WrestleMania many times. They both have incredibly good careers. Undertaker's career is longer, but as well as it being longer, we've also gotten a few stinkers at the end of his career, like the Goldberg match, and a lot of the last 3 to 5 years has been like, come on, dude, what are you doing? With that being said, I do think that between these two, and like I said, there are a million different ways you could have this tournament happen. I don't think there's a definitive answer. This is kind of just like I said, I saw this thing and decided to do it. This was not like a premeditated tier list like I usually do. I'm not putting as much thought as I usually do. This is like a you know, they're flashing pictures at me and I'm making decisions. So with that being said, I do think right now, the way I'm thinking, that the greatest WWE superstar of all time is Undertaker. Oh, they've done... Oh, there it is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Here's the entire bracket. I'll scroll through it slowly so you can see. Crazy seeing like people like CM Punk go out so early. Triple H going out the same exact time as CM Punk did. Orton going out early. Like, if you shuffled all these together, that's the thing, right? Is like when you do John Cena compared to The Rock, maybe The Rock goes over there for some reason. but for some reason the Undertaker goes over The Rock, and for some reason Cena doesn't. Maybe, I don't know. The thing with brackets versus tier lists is, that's why I do the tier lists more often, is that like you start by putting them all in an area you believe, like, well, obviously all of these are in the same tier, and then you get to compare everyone to everyone. Every matchup being a 1 versus 1 means that someone could, and I'm not saying the Undertaker slipped his way into the finals by any situation at all. He is one of the, if not the greatest of all time, no matter what, no matter who you're talking to. But certain matchups help certain people. Like, I'm not gonna try and poo-poo on anybody here because that would just be rude. But like, you gotta look at how far certain people got based on who they were up against, you know? Like, some people had, I mean, yeah, the perfect example is like, I mean, Stone Cold went totally far and like could have won this whole tournament. But like Goldberg is one of the greatest of all time, period, and he lost round 1 because he happened to get paired up against Stone Cold. So take the bracket with a grain of salt, but you know, on today, August 31st, which isn't today for you, this is probably I don't know what day it is for you guys. We're probably deep into September by now. Maybe it's September 7th. I'm gonna say it's September 7th. That might be September 6th. It's that Tuesday. On this day, I see clearly, and I clearly think that The Undertaker is the greatest of all time. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. I will probably do a wrestling tier list, like with Tier Maker at some point down the line, where I go a little more in depth. But in this 65 quick bracket, The Undertaker takes it. Please comment if you like wrestling. I'd love to see what you think. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Every Tuesday, I do something similar to this. Again, Tier Maker was down, so we did a bracket, but you're always getting something of this nature on Tuesday, as long as it's a Tuesday that I upload. You'll never gonna see anything uploaded on Tuesday that isn't like this. And I will see you guys next time. This might be the last tier list Tuesday for a little bit, because as I mentioned in a lot of videos, school's starting, but when I have the time, I'm sitting down, I am recording, and I will get you the content you guys want. So just bear with me. Stay tuned for some more stuff coming out in the next few days. I think I have at least 3 more days of videos recorded before the hiatus starts. I hope you like them. Peace out.